Welcome to the Abstract Barcode podcast. I am your host, Christopher, where each and every weekday I bring you the news that you may or may not be aware of, to criticize and comment on it to the best and worst. Oh yeah, worst of my ability. So without further ado, let's get started with the first news story, which comes from My Fox 8. No, my fox didn't eat anything. MyFox8.com. Psychic pleads guilty to threatening clients unless they paid her. See, this is in Ohio. A psychic has pleaded guilty to threatening her clients, telling them that harm would come to them or their families unless they paid her. WJW reported that this lady of Gina's Psychic Studio in Mentor was indicted in September on 28 counts. Okay, 28, including theft, engaging in a pattern of corrupt activity, and telecommunications fraud. Prosecutor said she stole $1.4 million and bilked, B-I-L-K-E-D, bilked a dozen people out of cash, jewelry, and valuables, according to the Associated Press. Miller recently pleaded to one count of aggravated theft and will be sentenced in April. Article goes on to say she would tell her victims harm would come to them or their families if they did not pay her. This happened over 20 years. Over the course of 20 years, this happened. Lake County Prosecutor's Office said she stole more than $1.5 million from 11 people. Investigators seized her purses, iPhones, and computers, as well as Rolex watches and other jewelry. Wow, what did she threaten them with? Top comment says, "Too bad it wasn't the Long Island medium." Let's see. My not so psychic experience with the Long Island. That's a whole nother story. Anyways, commenter goes on to say, "I hate that TLC actually gave this woman a platform to give thousands of desperate, gullible people false hope. Sheldon Cooper included." Someone responded to that. "TLC is crap these days." Another comment. "To be fair, TLC has always been crap." Okay. Well, let's go down this rabbit hole real quick and see where this goes. This comes from Long Island Press. My not-so-psychic experience with Long Island medium Teresa Caputo. Let's see. She announced she was not to prove anything or to anybody or to make anyone believe in mediums. Echoing a sentiment, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's a whole nother thing I don't want to get into. This should be the number one comment. Bet she didn't see that one coming. Obligatory psychic joke. Check. Another comment. "Good Lord. One crazy lady in Ohio screwed that many people out of money by claiming to be a psychic? She's going to be president someday." Dang. Okay. Next story as I yawn. FBI agent took down teen hacker by pretending to be a reporter. And the media didn't like that. This comes from ocregister.com. Never heard of them. Ever. Until now. FBI agent took down teen hacker by pretending to be a reporter. That's the headline. It's showing an image of a CRT, or no, that's not a CRT monitor. One of those big old box monitors sitting on a floor for some reason. Okay, it's showing the photo, and clearly the monitor is the center of attention, and it says this image shows a photo of a computer taken from the bedroom of this person. Thing is, the tower that is the actual computer is off to the side. It's showing it's trying to emphasize that the monitor is the computer. Idiots. Okay. Story goes on to say, this is by Raphael Sater from the Associated Press. The young hacker was told in no uncertain terms, "You are safe with me." Quote, "I am not trying to find out your true identity." End quote. AP journalist Norm Weatherall assured the teenager in an online chat. As a member of the press, I would rather not know who you are, as writers are not allowed to reveal their sources. But Norm was no reporter. He was FBI agent Norman B. Sanders, Jr. And the whole conversation was a trap. Within hours, police descended on the 15-year-old hacker's home and led him away in handcuffs for making a week and a half... What? And led him away in handcuffs for making a week and a half of emailed bomb threats. Yeah, phrasing. Rephrase that. At his high school in Washington State, he eventually confessed and was sentenced to 90 days. The 2007 bust would put an end to the bomb scares that saved graduation at the school, but also raise a troubling question that is an answer to this day. How often do FBI agents impersonate members of the media? So it seems like this is more about that the FBI were doing their job and less about what the actual kid did. The article goes on to say the answer is important, says one expert who played a key role in revealing the Bureau's subterfuge, because sources need to know journalists won't turn on them. Quote, journalists play a very similar role to doctors in our society in that we trust them. No, we don't. End quote. Said former chief technologist at the American Civil Liberties Union said earlier this year. Quote, and without trust, they cannot operate, end quote. Well, look at mainstream media right now. They're operating. They're doing just fine, it seems. They'll be dead soon enough. 2 weeks ago, a federal judge rejected a lawsuit from the Associated Press and the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press demanding more detail from the FBI about the practice of posing as journalists. The two media organizations are appealing. Meanwhile, the AP has drawn on hundreds of pages of records and interviews with a dozen people to piece together the story of how the computer-savvy sophomore's end-of-a-year prank escalated into a confrontation between the Justice Department and the media. Yeah, see, this is less about the kid and what he did, and more about the fact that the FBI posed as journalist. Now, here's the thing. They can do that. Other journalists might not like it, but they can do it. Nothing saying they can't. Let's see. Jenkins agreed to chat, and the FBI agent sent him a couple links related to an AP article he was supposedly putting together. The links were booby-trapped. When Jenkins clicked, malicious code ran on his computer, broadcasting his internet protocol address back to law enforcement. 6 hours later, Lacey police were at his door. Jenkins later pleaded guilty to harassment, making bomb threats, and identity theft. In an interview with the AP... In an interview with the Associated Press a decade later, he said he had no particular motive beyond a, quote, feeling powerful, end quote. Wow. A decade later. A decade later, the AP is still seeking information about the FBI's practice of masquerading as journalists. The AP and the Reporters Committee have obtained documents from the Bureau, but no solid answers about how often it happens. Quote, AP is calling for the release of all FBI documents related to Let's see, the FBI declined to comment. Quote, we were glad it ended when it did, he said, but using the press, certainly if I were a journalist, that would piss me off some, end quote. Who cares? Who cares if you're offended? They did their job. That's what they're supposed to do. Oh, I'm a journalist and I'm offended someone else said they were a journalist and they're not. So what? Go write about it on your blog. I mean, really. Okay, you're offended. Now what? Answer that. I just don't get it. In this day and age, it seems like you can't be offended anymore. Well, I'm offended he said something. Well, I'm offended she did this. Were you hurt? Emotionally? Well, suck it up. Some of the comments are: many members of the media pretend to be reporters. That's funny. Someone responded to that. Both are terribly widely abused terms. What makes you a member of the, quote, media? Oh, I publish media. What makes you a reporter? Oh, I work for someone who publishes media. And they said I was. The reality is that those terms are just ways to limit access to any businesses, reporters, journalists, media that a given source doesn't want around. Somehow big media outlets have imagined themselves into being a protected class. Blah, blah, blah. Another comment says, they are upset because they think people trust journalists. People haven't trusted journalists for a long time. Exactly. Yes. Someone responded to that saying, yeah, people don't trust any news. That's why they all went out of business. People didn't watch, read, or consume any reporting done by any of them. What kind of person would go to a news source they didn't trust for info? Am I right? Another comment says, no one should like it. The FBI impersonated the AP. Suppose the FBI has pretended to be Breitbart. People would be calling for their heads on a platter. Who cares? Okay, next story. Next time on The Flash. Moose in New England face grisly deaths from tick infestations. This comes from PRI.org. Oh, look at the moose. It says heavy tick infestations are killing moose calves in large numbers in New Hampshire and Maine because of their small size and inability to replenish lost blood. Oh. In the article states, in northern New England, moose number about 70,000, but changing weather seems to be throwing the balance of nature off kilter, giving an edge to one of the animal's most dangerous enemies, blood-sucking ticks. And this is by Adam Wernick. Oh, there's a dead moose. That's sad. Let's see. Article states 35,000 to 95,000 ticks per hide. Whoa. Did they count them all? Quote, in general, if you have over 30,000 ticks, you're going to have a problem. So these animals die from acute anemia and massive weight loss because they simply can't replace the blood loss volume that quickly. That's just sad. Article goes on to say basically they can only hope for a weather change. There's a growing proportion of the human population that doesn't think winter begins in November anymore in New England. The change is very real. Yeah. Comment says, in case you didn't bother reading the article and came straight to the comments with your opinion. Moore says, wrong article. Could they start introducing large amounts of possums to the area? Can't they eat up to 5,000 ticks a day? And then someone said, but then what would eat the possums that are eating the ticks? Another comment says, I am originally from New England, Connecticut, where Lyme disease originated. You don't ignore tick bites there. Ticks are viewed like poisonous snakes are in other states. I personally know so many people who went through hell with the disease. Yeah, it's kind of sad. Another quote, bummer that if you want to enjoy nature in that region of the U.S., you have to worry about the insane amount of ticks all around and the fact that many carry Lyme disease. Yeah, that's just sad. Okay, next story comes from stupid autoplay. I hate that. I hate autoplay. The only time I like autoplay is on YouTube. Stupid. Okay. I had to take a drink. Sorry. Was that too loud for you? I apologize. Next story comes from NBCDFW.com. Blah, 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 blah. Texas Attorney General's office raises concerns over Frisco school prayer room. By Meredith Yaumans. Article states a deputy attorney general in Texas. A deputy attorney general and Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's office says a Frisco school's prayer room may violate the First Amendment's protection of religious liberty. In a letter to Jeremy Lyons, superintendent of the Frisco Independent School District, Deputy Attorney General Andrew Leon urged neutrality toward all religions in response to complaints that Liberty High School's prayer room excluded non-Muslim students. Wait a second. Okay. So it just says prayer room. It doesn't say what religion it's for. Let's see. Join all religions in response to complaints that Liberty High School's prayer room excluded non-Muslims. Quote, it appears that students are being treated different based on their religious beliefs, end quote, said the letter. Such a practice, of course, is irreconcilable with our nation's enduring commitment to religious liberty. Leon encouraged the environment of free religious practice, but warned against favoring one religion over another. Quote, I ask that you ensure that Liberty High School's prayer room is accessible to students of all religious denominations, consistent with the First Amendment's protection of religious liberty. The letter was included in a press release sent to media Friday. In a written response to Leon on Friday, Lyon said the press release, quote, appears to be a publicity stunt by the OAG to politicize a non-issue. Earlier this month, the prayer room was featured in a news report by a student journalist at Liberty High School. The video shows Muslim students praying in a classroom Moore says would otherwise be empty at the time. Quote, it gives us a way to pray. It gives us a way to pray in our classrooms and then go straight back to class, end quote, said the junior in the video. The process of praying during the day used to take more than an hour, the district says. Muslims are required to pray 5 times a day. The concern by the Attorney General's office is that the room is dedicated to students of the Muslim faith and that it isn't available to students of other religions. Moore says the prayer room is open to each of the school's 2,100 students. Quote, it's not just a room for Muslim students. It's a room Buddhist students, Jewish students, Catholic students, Hindu students. You get the idea. Moore said he isn't sure why the Attorney General's office would bring up the concerns publicly without contacting him first, because he doesn't want a firestorm like this. In the meantime, the prayer room will remain open. Okay, so let's break this down. Break it down now. Okay, but why does it violate the First Amendment? Let's see. If you favor one religion over another, yes, that is violating it. Urge neutrality toward all religions. Let's see. This article is all over the place. Okay. Let's see what some of the comments say. In case you didn't bother reading the article and came straight to the comments with your opinion, Moore says the room is open to each of the school's 2,100 students, which, yes. Quote, it's not just a room for Muslim students, but everything I just listed. Anyone who wants to use the room in that capacity can. It just seems like it's a issue about semantics now. If the room itself is non-denominational, what is the problem? Subsidized by the taxpayer and therefore violates the First Amendment? The room is not used and presumably did not phase out of reality if no one is using it. So the taxpayers are paying for it anyway. What's wrong with it being used? Takes too much time for the students. I don't know which Muslims you have been talking to, but it never takes me more than 5 minutes or for even the longest session. Oh, also it's apparently increased attendance as students were leaving for hours on Friday to go pray. Now they stay on campus, and I think it said the room is open, blah, blah, blah. So, okay. That was another comment. Okay, now this person's just getting into semantics. Okay. It only violates the First Amendment, if it favors one religion over the other. That's it. I could not get a clear answer out of that freaking article. Next story. Do not autoplay, do not autoplay. Autoplay off, good. Excuse me. Oh, you stupid autoplay. So, according to CBSNews.com, the happiest place on earth is Denmark. The article states, with this year's updated UN rankings due out tomorrow, when you picture the happiest place in the world, you might imagine white sand, beaches, swaying palm trees, but it turns out the happiest place is a bit different. Welcome to Denmark, a small country of nearly 6 million people. No tropical breezes here, just rain about 50% of the year. Man, I would be happy there. But despite the weather, this country still remains a sunny disposition. So sunny, in fact, it's been named the happiest country in the world. Quote, what we find when we study happiness around the world is that the definition is quite similar. End quote. Quote, why am I yawning? People want to live well, end quote. Quote, they want to have money in their pocket and in the bank. They want to trust their government. They want to be healthy, end quote. Last year, America came in 13th place behind Israel and just a few notches ahead of Mexico and Brazil, the article says. It's a ranking that might leave us scratching our heads. Americans love to chant, we're number one. But we aren't always. What does Denmark have that we don't? Free healthcare for one, and free education. And what about maternity leave? Quote, I think it's 12 months in which the parents can share. End quote. Said a CEO of the Happiness Institute located in Copenhagen. Quote, 5 weeks of paid vacation per year. It's not bad, end quote. Dang. I want to move there. I want to move there. Article goes on. Quote, what do you say to someone who's like, yeah, but that's socialism and we're Americans? I say it's what they call social democracy. The idea is we're a market economy. We're privately owned. We better compete, so they have to be at the top of the game in technology and research and development and science and quality of education. End quote. They seem happy. And every photo they have shown, everyone's like smiling. Some of the comments are, top one, I live there. The best thing about Denmark is how you don't need to worry about anything. Healthcare, education, safety, etc. All are top-notch and accessible to everyone. There is not real poverty. Being homeless is basically voluntary because the state will make sure you are fed, like food fed, and have a decent place to live while you are searching for a job. Unemployment benefits are perhaps too good. Unions make sure you don't get screwed over in your job, and pay is good, despite high taxes. Public transport, at least in Copenhagen, is great. People are polite and friendly, but still slightly reserved. The only cons are that going out is expensive, and it can be a bit too quiet. I'd like it there then. The art scene is alright, but restaurants, bar club scene is mediocre in terms of choice. Even Helsinki is better than this. Another comment says, when people say social policies restrict freedom, I always say that one of the biggest freedoms I have is to know that the state is there for me if I lose my money and get ill. Another comment. The reason for their happiness is troll trace? What's troll trace? Another comment. That's where Lego was from. I'm not surprised. Another comment. Denmark's great and all, but to be fair, Norway tops the global happiness rankings for 2017. Okay. Oh. So I guess it's wrong. It's another person said Norway is the happiest. It's not here, that's all I know. Okay. That's it. I hope that was enough. I got more next time. Talk about China. Talk about who knows what else. So, stay tuned. So, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. Hope you laughed. I hope we all realized stuff. What stuff is that? I don't know. So, until next time, good night and good luck.